Welcome to the Prolific Fitness Podcast, where we strive to impact those who impact others. Here at Prolific Health and Fitness, a private training facility in downtown Lee Summit, just out of Kansas City, where we focus on high-level personal training, nutrition coaching, longevity coaching to help those who go out and just serve others. So today we're going to dive in a little bit into some of these specifics that we do on the training floor or in our nutritional coaching and things like that in order to actually get radical results in members and in clients, and to be able to actually see lives transform both externally with their bodies, their physiques, but also internally with their mindset, with their health, right? So to go into this, we have, Stan and Logan here. Logan is our fitness director. He's the one that, will take my crazy ideas and actually put a program in place that we can actually roll out and use with our members and serve our members. And then Stan is kind of our GM, but he's also a huge part of developing and ensuring that our culture stays what it is. And so when it comes to the programming, Logan is able to create something that then we can train all the team to be able to go out and implement. And then Stan ensures that it's actually something that, is making a positive impact and making everyone happy and they're enjoying it. So it's really important to get those perspectives in this. But to go into what our method is, and this is something that I'm very happy and hyped about because it's new. We've just developed it and we're rolling it out, and I'm super excited to announce it. It's what I call the PHIT cycle, PHIT. It's the Prolific Health, Injury Prevention, and Training Cycle. And so essentially what this is a holistic approach to someone's health and fitness journey. You have so many gyms, whether they're, big box corporate gyms or they're, group fitness classes, HIT classes, like all these different things. But they're all very narrow focused on an approach to results. And if you are a specific type of athlete looking to optimize a very specific type of training and don't necessarily care about the long-term, effects to life, then those work just fine. But I've seen so many people go to, certain facilities and they get stuck in this style of training. They don't know why they plateau, why they quit seeing results, why they actually start getting a negative return on that investment. They actually start feeling worse or seeing regression, in their physique and in their health. And it's because we've lost this understanding of what actual health and fitness is. It's not just a, move more, eat less approach, though that is, a part of it. But we came up with this PHIT cycle in order to actually create that life, that life cycle, that journey for someone to go on. And so we have these different phases. We go from ignition to build to strength, then to our rejuvenation phase, and then we end with our prolific life phase, which is the shortest phase. But I would love to bring it over to Logan, who actually has been working very hard on developing the actual program behind the name, behind the phases. So Logan, if you could explain kind of your mindset around the different phases, whether it's the ignition phase where we're talking about metabolic conditioning, and then obviously the build phase being that fancy word hypertrophy, strength being what it is, strength, and then the rejuvenation, which is our recovery and mobility phase. Could you give me a little bit more insight as to some of the watered down mechanisms that go into why it works?
Yes, and in attempting my version of watered down,
yeah.
I will almost...
if you guys seen the other episodes, you know why I said this. We don't want you to fall asleep. We want you to learn, all right? So we'll let Bill Nye, the science guy over here, take it away.
I'll do my absolute best. So One of the cool things about fitness and when, the general styles of training that we think of in the gym is that they all, to some degree, work towards each other as a whole approach. So, like, if you're doing hypertrophy focused training and you're doing it the correct way, you'll still make improvements to things like your VO2 max, your heart health, your circulatory system health. If you're doing strength training, still going to build some muscle, maybe a little bit of cardiovascular benefit. You're going to maintain and probably build a little bit of mobility in all of those as well. But if you spend all of your time focusing on one of those phases instead of kind of undulating a little bit, then you may end up leaving some behind. And especially, people will say it's better to start young. And the biggest reason for that is because when you start young, physiologically, you've not had time to suffer the consequences of not maintaining your fitness. So it is a lot easier to stick to one modality of training that gets you at least a little bit of a benefit all around and be pretty good. Unfortunately, there's very little accurate and holistic information about health, at least that, people don't argue about. And so as we go into older demographics, we see that whether it's, waiting a little bit to invest or they got some bad advice, one or more of those factors ends up being behind a little bit. So, we get people in here and we're doing some great hypertrophy training, but we do a hard set of leg press and they're like, oh man, I got a really bad headache from that. Or we're doing some upper body movements and form's great, but all of a sudden we start getting some shoulder issues. So it's really cool to be able to break things down into a phased approach and really build up each of those systems. So the three biggest predictors of longevity in humans is VO2 max. So think heart health, skeletal muscle mass, and strength. And the skeletal muscle mass and strength probably play into each other quite a bit. They're probably more correlated than they are separated. But I won't. I was about to go deeper into that, but I won't do it. So I'll do my best to remember the order to discuss these in. But basically, starting with the ignition phase, we would basically think of that as like our metabolic conditioning or our period of time where we're trying to improve cardiovascular health. There's going to be a lot of large movements in that, so it's also going to increase your ability to move fluidly, dynamically, or athletically. But because of the style of training that optimizes that, you're still going to get some awesome muscle building benefits. And because of your improved ability to move well, you're going to be stronger as a result as well. But that phase allows us to focus on improving cardiovascular health, really maximizing that. And it's a great phase to try to, target some fat loss, because the amount of energy that you're going to be burning during those sessions is going to be crazy high. So if we're going to pick a time to try to shred down, that's a great time to do it. And then we move into our build next.
Yeah,
build.
And to kind of give some clarity too, one thing that's really cool that I know Logan has worked hard on and Stan has actually, worked hard on too, is that we throw words around like, metabolic conditioning and, athletic movements, but we didn't develop this for all-star athletes. We developed this for the individual who's in their like late 30s, their 40s, their 50s, even their 60s, who are wanting to optimize their health and look better and feel better. And so it's like, how can we take this high level of coaching and make it fit the life of someone, who's not that 22-year-old all-star athlete? And our goal is to meet you where you're at and assess, and then to put you into a program designed specifically to you, though it follows this journey. It is still tailored to you as an individual, and you can get these results. And so that metabolic conditioning, that ignition phase, our goal is to help your heart be healthier, to be able to function at a better rate for a longer time. We want to keep that ticker ticking. and not just for you to be exhausted and tired in your 80s, but to be that like grandparent who's like making fun of your grandkids because they can't keep up on a hike as you're like running up the mountain in your 80s. And I say that because I've seen it. My Uncle Ted was 100 and was still hiking. Like he hiked the Great Wall of China in his 80s. Like the dude was insane. So it is important. I've seen it in play. And that's something that they've done a great job at programming and really getting to put into practice. But now we have the build phase.
Yeah, and 100%. Because I spend so much time researching, my vocabulary it includes a lot of the terms that they use to define things in research. But we're not talking about like Rocky 3, where he's got Drago hooked up to all those ridiculous machines measuring I don't even know what. We're talking about like being able to run around and keep up and maybe outpace your grandkids way past the age that the average person can do that now. Like that's what we're talking about. I'm not talking about trying to get somebody in Olympic shape in their 60s. So my apologies there. But so now we go into the build phase. Like we said, muscle mass, skeletal muscle mass is one of the largest predictors of longevity. I think it's the longest predictor of longevity in men. Because the more muscle you have, the stronger you are. So falling down, first of all, it's just way less likely to happen. And second of all, you're more likely to go, oh, whoops, I fell down, than you are to have to hit the life alert because you can't get up. And then also, a lot of people nowadays developing blood sugar issues. Well, the largest system of getting rid of sugar in the bloodstream is skeletal muscle mass. It holds a lot of sugar because the muscles need that sugar for efficient fuel. So if we're able to build some muscle, then we increase the amount of energy that you just burn sitting around, which means that you can enjoy more food and not gain weight. If you're doing hypertrophy focused training correctly, you're increasing mobility and joint strength to a great degree.
And hypertrophy just means like
building muscle. Yes,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Hypertrophy is a scientific term for increasing muscle mass, specifically skeletal muscle mass. If we're training really well for hypertrophy, then like I said, that's the most impactful thing that you can do for your blood sugar, and pretty much all hormone disorders as well. Aside from hormone therapy, resistance training, specifically hypertrophy focused, is the number one holistic treatment that you can do. Like nothing else even compares. So that gives us, and if you're doing it right, it's pretty cardiovascularly challenging too. Like you get out of breath by the time you're done. So it still works a little bit towards increasing cardiovascular health there too. It's just not quite the focus. So we get a ton of benefits from that. And then we get to move into the strength phase. So we get to take that new muscle that we've built and we get to make it stronger. So now, instead of being able to just go kick the soccer ball around with your kids when you're 80, you can go wrestle with your kids. Your joints are strong. They move well through full ranges of motion. You're able to do freaking push-ups or weird handstands or whatever, be the fun uncle at the Christmas party doing weird stuff.
Well, maybe not that uncle, but
that's how you. Never mind. So yeah.
No Diddy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
Does Diddy have nieces or nephews?
I'm sure.
You think?
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
He's got
Uncle-
a lot you probably don't know about now.
Uncle Diddy diddled. Sorry.
Back to Bill.
And where he's at now, he's probably doing a lot of strength training.
If
So-
you are strong, you can push the uncle away.
Yeah, see? Look at that. It's for all ages.
So.
All right, so the strength phase.
Yeah, so strength phase, that's really cool. We get to take that new muscle that we built and that really nice cardiovascular output, and we get to train your muscles and joints through different ranges of motions, different movements, different positions of the joints, so that you're able to do all sorts of stuff as you grow older. If you're 60 years old and you can put the milk jug up on the top shelf, that's awesome. If you're 80 years old and you can put the milk jug on the top shelf, you're in like the 1% of 80-year-olds. So strength training is really, really cool. It's definitely not going to do a ton for cardiovascular health. Still going to build a decent amount of muscle. So again, we still get to work towards all general health goals, but really focus on one at a time so that we can make the most progress possible.
Yeah, and to give some actual like kind of evidence that we've seen and hear, I'll take Dave as an example where we look at the mass data and a person to be able to bench over 225 while being under like 200 pounds themselves, to do that for reps is literally like the top, I think 2 or 3% of the male population in the world. And Dave, who's in his 50s, who quite literally had open heart surgery not too long ago, and has been working with us, now can rep out 225 for quite a few reps. He only weighs like 170, maybe. And, he's a part of that, like 2%, not just of his age group, but of all men. That's pretty awesome. And if you ask Dave what the benefits of that is, he would say, well, I get to, make my wife happy for a little bit longer. But if you ask me like that, what's so amazing is that his heart, like we can see that it's gotten healthier, that he is going to live longer and to have a better quality of life in that. And the muscle, the lean muscle tissue and the strength that he's gained is a clear indicator of that quality of life improving. And then to ask Stan real quick on this, when actually seeing these markers improve, what is often like the shift that you see in the members when they actually start seeing this progress and these results?
One of the big shifts I'd say that I've seen is it's a light bulb moment for a lot of people. So once they see, like, if someone's struggling with bench, for example, right? Like, we take into account not only the strength of the person, maybe joint issues, things like that, but we take into account, like, what if you try this? Let's try to, not have our elbows flare during a bench. And maybe sometimes that takes us, taking a more one-on-one approach with them. And when we take that one-on-one approach with them, we've actually seen some great things happen because the buy-in is there a little bit more because they feel that, look, man, that guy wasn't kidding. Like he was serious about this. And just to see someone, and numbers are numbers, right? So like we can use numbers as a tool. Numbers are a way of showing you that what you've implemented actually does work. And so the more people that have seen those results happen, it's like, you know what, like maybe I'm going to do my mobility today. Maybe it's not just, like I don't feel like I'm out here just doing I'm just out here doing physical therapy, but it's actually working because maybe it's not the way I started off doing it, but it's the way that has helped me get to the point that I didn't think I would be at. And I'll say that one of the big changes that we've made since we've gotten here is actually having people look forward to getting their stretches done, understanding why they're doing their essentially their prehab before they go into training. And then once they get into the training, they've seen that, hey, I'm not getting tired as quick. Like this joint that was bothering me may not be getting as tight quick, or the muscles around that joint might not be getting as tight quick, or just little things like that where those little improvements that they see week by week are what keep them consistent and what keep them coming in. But also it shows them like maybe the way that I was doing things before, maybe it wasn't wrong, but I just needed something to be tweaked. So those are, in my opinion, some of the most important, for lack of a better term, mile markers that we've had, because it has enhanced the ability for people to see what I'm doing is actually working. Even if I didn't think it would, if I had a little skepticism about it, I'm glad that I stuck with it.
Yeah, I love that. And, speaking of the prehab and the physical therapy and stuff, like we're getting ready to go from the strength phase to the rejuvenation, like prolific rejuvenation phase. And that is really focusing on, kind of deloading from that strength phase, focusing on recovery, on maintenance, and on mobility, and in some cases, stability, right? And this is where it's really cool that we also have in-house prolific therapy clinic, where we have really amazing, and I say this biasly because my wife is the head of the clinic, but we do have really amazing therapists. We have an amazing, physical therapist who has gotten a lot of continuing education outside of the what you would call the more orthodox physical therapy clinical training, and he's got certifications that only a handful of clinicians have, like in the state. And so being able to see members go to him with these issues that they've went to a ton of physical therapists for, and just it kind of seemed hopeless. After like 1 or 2 sessions, they're like, I haven't felt like this in years. Like, this is amazing. And same thing with Peyton and the OT stuff. Like, we have people here who have lived a long life, and I always say life is gonna life, right? We can't avoid it. So we get a lot of people who have, this is why injury prevention is part of the PHIT cycle, is we get people who have a history of injuries, and they are genuinely fearful that getting back into working out and fitness is going to get them injured again. When in reality, the whole purpose of training is to live healthier, longer lives. That includes injury. That includes, like, you are getting stronger, so when you fall in your 60s, it's like a oops, I fell, not a, oh, I broke my leg or I broke my hip, right? And so having therapists here who help integrate, and both of them have been certified trainers or strength and conditioning coaches before, so they help and they work alongside the trainers with the programming. And that's pretty cool too. So if we have, someone who has a shoulder issue and they go get an eval, that therapist can then write up a program and discharge, the patient essentially back to the gym, and all of our coaches are educated in corrective exercise and can take that program and communicate back and forth with the therapist, because we're in the same building, and make sure that we're continuing that plan in a way that gets the client stronger and healthier faster. And so when we get to this, last phase, it's not just saying like, oh, we're going to do some stretches, though that is a part of it, but it's really, working on this holistic approach to health. So Logan, if you want to hit real quick on the rejuvenation phase.
Yeah, so really cool thing about the way that we structure this is it's not a rigid system. There is a lot of flexibility within each phase, within how we order the phases, how long they are for each individual person. And as you go through this more and more, you're like just way less prone for injury if you've been strength training for a year. Everything's stronger. Like, most injuries come from something else is too weak, so now something else had to work too hard, now it's injured. But this phase, if you're structuring training in a good and efficient manner, you eventually the amount of fatigue that you build up starts to outpace how much you can recover, like from day to day or week to week. So we can take some time to really bring down training, which lets us recover way more than we could have otherwise. But it also gives us a lot of time to look at, okay, what types of things do we observe during the ignition and the build and the strength phase? Where can we improve mobility in certain joints? Where can we improve stability in certain joints, so that when we go back into those phases, we're able to move even better, even healthier. And now we've undergone this period where, like, the really hard, intense training has been reduced. So as you hop back into that, not only are you able to move better, but like you're nice and refreshed. You have a bunch of energy now, and we can hit that really hard. And then, as we exit that phase, then it's time to take a look at, okay, awesome. So we've just gone through the PHIT cycle. Let's examine where you're at as far as the goals that you had. How'd we do on accomplishing or improving upon whatever goals you came to us with or whatever health markers, fantastic. But fitness is and should be a lifelong endeavor. So now we get to take some time in that, what'd you call it, the life phase. Now we get to take some time and examine, cool, how can we do even more? What are our next steps? What goals would you like to accomplish now? What is the area that we can continue to improve in, or what new benchmarks can we set? So it's a pretty comprehensive cycle that allows us to the entire time make strides towards pretty much all fitness vectors, but instead of being kind of good at all but a master of none, we get to spend some time being a master of one while also still making us a little bit better at the others. And so by the end of it, we've made this huge improvement across all the most important health markers. We accomplished goals, we've set new ones, and now we get to start again and continue improving our health.
I love that. And I'm so psyched about this because this is proprietary. This is something that we've developed that is exclusive to our members. That is something that not any other facility I've ever seen is doing to help their members. And so you guys get to be a part of something that genuinely has been created just for you to get the absolute best value and service you could get anywhere. And you can get it here at Prolific. So if you're interested, come by, check us out. Go to our website, prolifichealthandfitness.com, and click to learn more. Book a free consult with us. And if you're not from around Lee Summit, we do online programming as well. So shoot us an email or go to our website, click for more information. We'd love to get in contact with you. But hey, living a prolific life means that once you get to a peak, you don't just go back down to the bottom and settle. You look for the next mountain. You find that next peak. And you can do that in your 30s. You can do that in your 40s. You can do that in your 50s. We have members doing that in their 70s, right? So go out, impact others, and live a prolific life, and we'll see you next time.